Everyone, I'm Professor Tim Jones, the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Liverpool, and it is a great pleasure to join you online today and to welcome you to the University of Liverpool family. I know that the next few weeks will be full of mixed emotions as your loved one starts a new chapter in their life, and today's session is intended to make that process a little easier by sharing just a few details of the many ways in which we are here to support them to achieve their potential. As we are meeting on Zoom today, I need to start with a quick housekeeping message and say that this session will be recorded to be made available for those unable to attend today. Joining me this morning are a number of my colleagues who will share information about university's activities and will also be happy to answer any questions you may have. Firstly, I would like to introduce Dr. Paul Redmond, Director of Student Experience and Enhancement, who will be speaking shortly about our welcome activities and the exciting opportunities his team have created to ensure a smooth transition to life at the university and in the city, with, of course, plenty of opportunities to make new friends. Paul will be followed by Dr. Paula Harrison, Director of Student Administration and Support, who will share information about the services available to ensure all students have access to the support they need to thrive during their time here. Finally, we will hear a little from Ellis Ewan, a psychology student and careers coach here at the university, who will talk through her personal experiences at Liverpool and provide tips for how new students can get the most from their time here. After these talks, there will be a questions and answer or Q&A to cover anything you would particularly like to raise, so please do submit questions throughout the session. But before I hand over to my colleagues, I'd like to assure you that we have made it our priority to provide all the ingredients necessary for a fulfilling, rewarding, and exciting first year here at Liverpool. As you will all know, Liverpool is a really special place. In fact, I'm an alumnus of this university, having completed 2 degrees here many years ago, my undergraduate degree and my PhD in chemistry. I've been privileged to enjoy a variety of academic and leadership roles following my student days at a number of universities, but it was really my experience here at Liverpool that most of all had such a profound impact on my career and also therefore on my life. So I am an example of where this university has transformed a student's life, and that's what we try and do for every one of our 27,000 or so students who study with us each year. To underpin our student experience, our colleagues have carefully planned every aspect of our Liverpool welcome, of the services we offer, and of the way we deliver our teaching, so that we continue to provide a world-class educational experience, a range of fantastic co-curricular opportunities to try new things, develop new skills, and ignite new passions, and a supportive and respectful environment in which to study and which to live. And we encourage you to visit our welcome web pages for further advice and guidance. I have said a little about your loved one's experience with us, but I'm very conscious that for many of you, this might be your first child or family member to go to university. So we hope that this parent and supporters network will offer you the support you need to ensure that you feel part of the journey. And whilst I'm speaking as a Vice-Chancellor of this university, I've also experiencing what you're experiencing. My daughter will also go to university next week for the first time, the first child in our family, and I am experiencing exactly the same feelings that you will be feeling as well. It's a different university to Liverpool. At Liverpool, we pride ourselves on a warm welcome, and we wanted to create a similarly supportive environment for parents and families with our Parents and Supporters Network. Whilst we recognise that our students are adults, and that this is very much their experience, we also recognise the role that you will have played in getting them to university. And of course, we know that your interest in supporting their education, well-being, and ultimately their future success will continue. Liverpool will become a second home for our students, and I hope you have the opportunity to visit and get to know the city too. A vibrant and creative city, Liverpool has lots to offer and enjoy, and I know that our new students will receive a warm and friendly welcome from the city and enjoy many cultural and creative experiences during their time here. As part of our network, you will enjoy access to hotel discounts in Liverpool and information on upcoming events. so please do watch out for regular newsletters from our development and alumni relations team. But back to today, I would now like to hand over to Paul, our Director of Student Experience and Enhancement, to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be with you here today. I do hope you find this useful. As the Vice-Chancellor said, we pride ourselves on being a friendly university, a great friendly city. So I want to give you a taster of what we've got planned in the coming weeks for your student. I'm Director of Student Experience and Enhancement, so my teams oversee the whole sort of looking after our students and the different teams and services that are available to make sure that the students get a great start at the university. And that's the heart of our welcome plan that we put together. So we want to make sure that all our students feel that they belong and that they're included in our university community as quickly as possible. To help with this, we put together a full program of welcome events and activities to really give students a chance to feel that they settle in as quickly as possible. They'll also have a chance to make contact with their schools and departments, so they'll start feeling that they belong, not just personally, but also from an academic perspective. It's important to say, before I give you an overview of what we've got planned, that not everyone will make lifelong friends within the first weeks at university. It takes a lot of students some time to really feel that they've settled in, and that's fine. But we want to give all our students the opportunities to start making friends and settling in, even though we know all students experience university in their own unique way, and my colleagues will talk more about that. So here's a snapshot of what we've got planned. I've got to say, if you want to see an overview of our programme, go to liverpool.ac.uk/welcome, and you'll see all our plans set out there, and also details about how to download the Welcome app, which students will have with them during the first few weeks of term, and that will give them a personalised insight into our welcome programme. So very briefly, from Monday, the 18th of September, our welcome programme begins. It's a series of events and activities, all designed to help students settle in and to start making friends with other students. The theme this year is becoming. So we really want to focus on helping them think about how they want to use their time at university and what they want to become. Most of our students are with us, our undergraduates are with us for around 1,000 days, and it does go very quickly. Even though they often think they're going to be here for years and years and years, it goes really quickly. So we want to make sure that they can start thinking early on about how they want to make most of the university and thinking about their future goals and ambitions right from the start. So Monday and Tuesday of Welcome Week, we're having welcome talks in our Mountford Hall in the Guild of Students for all our new students. And that's a great opportunity for students to come together in groups. They will see the Mountford Hall, they will meet with other students, but they'll also hear from senior academic leaders from their faculties about the experience that they're about to have at the university. So we have these talks in the Mountford Hall that all our students will be invited to. And it is a great way to start off the university experience. We'll also be offering additional talks and support sessions for our international students. One of the great things we've got in our university is we are an international university. So we'll have students coming from around the world, and we run special sessions to help them become familiar and embedded with life in the UK. Our session, Scouse 101, is not to be missed, particularly by our international students. So our international students get lots of support, but we really try and bring everyone together as early as possible. If your student is going to be living in halls, there'll be talks and events and activities and welcome events for them as part of the hall community. If they're not living in halls, that's fine. We've got lots of activities that are open to all our students, so they won't feel that they're missing out. If they're a commuter, they won't feel that they're missing out because we've got lots going on. One of the key focus areas for us is to keep students active and healthy, and we really look at their well-being, and Sport Liverpool is a great way to for students to understand what's available to keep in terms of sport and activities. Our Sports Liverpool teams will be having an induction during the first week, so I would strongly recommend you to advise your students to go along and find out what's available from a sport perspective. You don't have to be at Olympic standard. whatever level you're at, there are sports activities for your students. So just make sure that they get involved. We've also got a fantastic student union at the University of Liverpool. Our Guild of Students has literally hundreds of clubs and societies available for students to join and to get involved in. Clubs and societies are a fantastic way for students to make friends, have fun, learn new skills, but also, of course, feel embedded in the life of the university. So we recommend and we advise that all our students have a look at the clubs and societies that are available at Liverpool. There is something for everyone, I'm sure of that. So, you know, as part of the academic success, we want students to really feel that they've joined in with the clubs and societies that are available as a key part of being a student. Also, during Welcome Week, we'll have library inductions. We've got a part-time jobs fair for students who want to look at how they can make additional money while they're at university. And of course, as I said, everything we have available, we've got cultural events taking place, cycle tours of the city. We've got activities from around the world to show the cultural aspects of the university. The key thing is that your student gets involved and they join in as to the extent that they're comfortable with. So they don't have to be in everything, but certainly if you could encourage them to participate and to join in, to turn up, come to the campus and find out what's available, then that would help. And in particular, if they could download the Welcome app, that would help them because they can then customize it according to their interests. So there's lots that they can actually start participating in. So that's how you can help us by encouraging your student to join in as much as they feel comfortable. You know, everyone experiences university life in their own way, as my colleague Paula will tell you now. We know that most students don't go through university without certain bumps along the way. Homesickness is perfectly normal, and I think most students feel homesick at some point. But we do have, as you're about to hear, fantastic help and support services that are available to our students. And any problem, great or small, please ask them to come along, your student to come along and speak to us. During Welcome Week, you'll see the staff are available who are wearing these pink tabards. I don't know if they're showing on screen, but we've got people will be wearing these bright pink tabards. So if they have any problems, please tell them to come along to someone wearing one of these high-vis jackets, and we will take it from there. But the key thing is that they don't keep any problems to themselves. They come and speak to us. I'm one of the speakers in the big talks in the Mountford Hall, and I always try and finish with a quote, and a local Liverpool quote. And this year I'm going to focus on a quote from John Lennon, of course, who studied just up the road, and he said, "It'll all be all right in the end. If it's not all right, it's not the end." And I think that's a message that we want to get across to students, no matter what their problems might be when they come to university. Let us know, and we can help them. So, with that, to talk more specifically about the help and support available at the university, I'd like to pass over to my colleague, Dr. Paula Harrison, who is the Director of Student Administration and Support at the university. Over to you, Paula.
Thanks, Paul, and hello, everybody. It's really, really good to be here. So, as Paul said, I'm the Director of Student Administration and Support at the university, and we know how important support is for your young people at the moment. Young people have had a particularly difficult few years, and they've missed out on some important experiences. Whilst we're in some ways the pandemic feels like a long time ago, we know it's still having an impact for many of our young people, and we know that some students may need more support than previously. Some may be feeling anxious about moving to the university, and we've got a really comprehensive mix of support services both within schools and centrally to provide that support for our students. So if your young person or your student is struggling, please encourage them to come and talk to somebody. They may well feel they're the only one, but they won't be. And there are all sorts of ways of helping people to meet new people, to make friends, or to address very specific issues that they may be dealing with. So they can go to their school office, to their student experience team in their school, or come to the Allsop building where our wellbeing practitioners are a first point of contact. We offer services both remotely and face-to-face, depending on student preference. And actually, lots of students say that they like the opportunity to have an online appointment, even though we're on campus and they're on campus. They like that flexibility. So we've kept that. And our central services are open Monday to Friday on campus. We also then have a 24-hour offer as well. So just to give you a bit of a rundown about the sorts of support services we have, our advice and guidance team based in the Alsop building, the Student Life building, are our first point of call. And they will help by either providing some immediate advice and guidance, and where appropriate, triaging students to more specialist support. Sometimes students come thinking that they know what they need, and we will work with them to work out what the most helpful intervention is going to be. And sometimes that's a group, sometimes that's some one-to-one support. For some students, that might be counselling, where we offer a mixture of brief and longer-term therapy. We also have a mental health advisory service for students with more complex mental health difficulties. And we work really closely with our NHS partners, and we deliver a very innovative and shared service with our local NHS trust to ensure that students get access to appropriate mental health support as quickly as possible and as seamlessly as possible. We also have 24-hour support available through our partner Health Assured. So there is a helpline available 24 hours a day, all throughout the year, which is staffed, and there's somebody available for students to talk to if they just want that immediate need to talk. We have an app through Health Assured, which also provides a whole range of practical advice and offers online support. So we really try to provide a broad range of different support services, because we know that students want to access things in a variety of ways. So we try and create those various access points so that students can get the help and advice that they need. We also know that students and you as families many are worried about the cost of living this year. For students going into university accommodation, to assure you that all bills are included, and students who are placed by the university in private halls will also have bills included. If your student is going into a private house, please do make sure that they've checked their contract, checked any fair usage clauses within that agreement. And again, we have specialist advisors who can provide advice around housing contracts if that's needed. Our money advice team offer budgeting advice, and we're working with student influencers and money coaches to get their money saving tips out to students. They know where the best student friendly deals are. So we're working really hard to get that information available. And our money coaches will be running workshops, and we also run a food pantry for those who are experiencing significant hardship. As with all of our services, where someone's struggling, please encourage them to come and talk to us so we can get people to the right support as quickly as possible. Our disability advice and guidance team is also there for students who've declared a disability. They can ensure that students have appropriate support plans and reasonable adjustments in place. And our international advice and guidance team offer visa and practical advice for our international students. Just a quick note about health. The pandemic does seem a long time ago, and for many of us, health has dropped maybe down our agenda, but please can ensure that your young person has had all of their vaccinations. It's really important. We know that a number of people missed out on vaccinations at different points throughout their life. And it's really important that we ensure our student population are vaccinated and that they register with a GP when they arrive in Liverpool. So if they haven't had their vaccinations, our GP practice will be able to help with that. And we have a GP practice on campus, Brownlow Health, who provide that really easy access to healthcare for students. UK students should register in Liverpool. They can always register as a temporary patient when they return home for the holidays, but it is really important that they're registered with a GP here. And finally, a note to you as parents. We know, as VC said, this can be a worrying time for parents. It's a big time of change as your young person becomes an adult legally in many cases, whilst remaining your child. And that can be a big shift for parents. We can't always share as much information with you as you are used to getting from school. But what I can assure you is if you have concerns about your child, we will listen to them and we will act. Even if we can't always share back with you what we've done, we will absolutely act. And we have procedures in place to ensure where there are any significant concerns that we share information appropriately about those students. We've got lots more information about how we support your young person in our Parents Guide, which is available on the Parents and Family Network pages. And I suppose I'd like to just finally say this is an exciting and challenging time for young people. Sometimes challenge can be uncomfortable, but we've got support in place to enable students to rise to that challenge, to develop new skills and confidence and grow. And for me, this is exemplified by our next speaker, Ellis Ewing, who is one of our students and also one of our career coaches. So I'll pass you over now to Ellis.
Thank you, Paula. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and meet you all today. My name is Alice, and I'm a final year psychology student and also a career here at the University of Liverpool. Now, I know for my parents and me, starting university was quite a daunting time, as it's a whole new experience for most people, especially if this involves moving cities or even countries. However, that's why I'm here today, to hopefully make this new experience a less daunting one and offer the unique and personal insight that I have as a student and also a career coach. So I hope to cover some of my experience as a student here, what opportunities students can get involved with, and the support that the university offers as well. Apologies, my microphone is a bit dodgy today, but starting off with accommodation. So in my first year, I stayed at Greenbank Student Village. Now, I personally love living in halls, as it was a great way to meet other people. The hall's life team also host a range of activities that I would definitely encourage your young person to get involved with. Now, another great way to meet people at the start of university is to get involved in the welcome week activities like Paul was saying before. Whether it's the Freshers' Fair or the big welcome party, there is definitely something for everyone. Now, I know for some people that meeting a big group of people is incredibly nerve-wracking, but I think the university acknowledges this really well. For example, by offering a quiet hour at the Freshers' Fair, they have virtual and in-person meetups before events take place, and have initiatives like the Helpers in Pink high-vis jackets that Paul mentioned previously. So in terms of gaining extra experience besides the degree, students have the opportunity to take part in study abroad programmes, year in industry placements, and also placements throughout the year while studying. Now, although I didn't take part in any of these, I know people that have, and they said it's an invaluable experience. But having a part-time job is also a great way to build transferable skills, obviously earn a little bit of money as well, whether that's retail, hospitality, tutoring in the local Liverpool City region, or working here at university, of which there are many, many roles. Now, I previously mentioned that I also work at the university as a career coach. So in this role, me and 20 fellow students provide support and guidance to other students about almost anything careers related, from looking to new roles, interview prep. So I think having that peer-to-peer career service is a very unique aspect to Liverpool, and it's proven to be incredibly beneficial as well. Now, being part of a society is also another great way to gain experience and also meet new people as well. So I believe there's over 200 societies based at the Student Union and the Guild, and 50 sports clubs. So again, there's definitely something for everyone, which I think reinforces how inclusive Liverpool and university really is. Now, in my time at university, I've been involved in a variety of societies such as snow sports and psychology, but you're able to join as many as you wish. So I definitely encourage your young person to get involved. And most of the societies will have a stall at the Freshers' Fair, so it's definitely worth kind of having a look at there and see what's out there. Now, in terms of Liverpool as a city itself, I think it's amazing. There's always events going on, the sense of community is incredible, and one of my favourite things about Liverpool is that it's so multicultural. Everyone is so friendly, and I think this was highlighted even more with the success of Eurovision earlier this year. Now, lastly, moving on to the support that the university offer, I personally think it's amazing. Each student has their own academic advisor, who is usually their first point of contact. Now, some courses and some departments also offer a peer mentor scheme. So last year, I volunteered as a psychology peer mentor to first year students, where they could come to me with any queries they may have had, even if it was as simple as asking where the nearest pharmacy is. Peer mentors, as all members of staff that I've experienced, are more than happy to help as well. Now, moving on to wider support that Paula mentioned as well, there's student welfare and guidance, mental health support, money guidance, careers and employability, and a specific international student support as well. So like all my colleagues are saying, if you or your young person have any issues or worries, feel free to get in touch with them and they're more than happy to help you. Now, just to kind of take away a message, of course, a degree is a massive part of university. However, students can really shape their own experiences by actively deciding to take part in what all of the university in Liverpool have to offer. I have loved living here for the past 3 years, and Liverpool really is a city like no other. There's always so much going on at the university and in the wider community. So my one piece of advice would be to encourage your young person to just say yes and get involved in all the opportunities that they have available to them. So I hope this has been helpful, and I'd be happy to answer any questions at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellis, and thank you, Paul and Paula, for those words and updates. Now, there's been a whole range of questions submitted during those presentations, and I know colleagues have been answering some of them as we've been going through. So hopefully you're getting the answers that you need. I'll go through some that don't appear to have been answered yet and try and get colleagues to come in as appropriate. But if we don't get through everything before we close, obviously we will deal with the questions and respond. There was a question from Caroline about the university app. Downloaded the university app. A question about needing the login to be able to use this. Paul, could I pass to you?
Thanks, Tim. I would say to Caroline, I think you probably will need a login. But if you try it, and then if you're unable to access it, if you could contact me, then we'll see if we can sort that out. But I suspect you will need your university MWS login in order to access it, which you should receive once you've registered. But if you've got any problems, let us know, and we'll try and help that. But just to emphasize, the app is really important for Welcome, because it does contain all the information that students will require and links to key events and activities. So if any problems, let us know and we'll help with that.
Thanks, Paul. There were 2 or 3 questions around, I presume, international students landing at Manchester Airport and accessing transportation facilities to the university. I think one of the questions was from a student staying in private accommodation as opposed to our accommodation. So again, Paul, is that question for you?
Yeah, our international teams are looking at the arrivals, so they will be in touch with students who are coming in to give them an idea about the level of welcome they can expect. I don't think it's going to be possible for everyone to have shuttle services available, but they will be able to have information about how to get to the campus from the airport. So our international teams will be in touch, and you should be hearing very, very briefly, very shortly about that.
Thanks, Paul. There's a question, I think, from Charlene about timetables and when timetables for lectures are sent out. So, Paul, I think that's you again. Yeah.
Again, that would be. Paul, do you want to? Paul,
do you want me to pick that
sorry.
one? So, the timetables will be available once you've registered and chosen your modules. Obviously, timetables depend on the modules. As new students choose their modules, we'll be allocating you to groups and updating your timetable. So if you keep checking back on a daily basis, as you can imagine, with all the high number of incoming students, it can take just a little while just to get everybody's details attached onto the system. So just if you keep checking back, it'll be updated as soon as we're able to.
Thanks, Paula. There's a question from Lisa about the academic advisor and when is this appointed? So again, maybe that's for you, Paul.
Yeah, I can take that. So
No,
Paul and Paula always causes confusion in the names at this point. So our students will have been allocated an academic advisor either now or in the next week or so, and that will be visible to the student via Canvas and I believe it's via the app as well, their academic advisor, and students will be invited to meet with their academic advisor early on in the academic year. And then that role will be explained and how it operates in each department.
Yeah, thank you. Question from Lisa, what happens if you have a timetable clash?
We work really hard to avoid timetable clashes. I could bore you with the thousands of hours that we are scheduling, but we do a lot of work to avoid timetable clashes. However, if you do have a clash, if you go and see your school office, and they'll be able to help to resolve that.
Question from Sharon, where do students check their timetables once the modules have been chosen?
On their app. So there's a timetable app that's linked with the My Liverpool app, so they'll be able to see that there. And that timetabling app also provides updates. So if there is a change to a location or a time, then you'll get a push notification on the app as well.
Great. And a question from Anna, when do the actual lectures start?
That would be the following week. The following week. And we find in previous years, we found students get quite nervous about the idea of being late or lost for a lecture. So we do spend time in Welcome Week getting people to be familiar with the layout of the campus. In some cases, you'll see colleagues on the Monday of the start of the teaching, again in these pink, I can't show it, but it's in these pink tabards, ready to direct students. So we don't want anyone feeling lost or nervous, when teaching starts. So we will provide that support, but yeah, the teaching will start the following week.
Yeah. There's a question around, somebody asked a question about presumably the son or daughter is very independent, will not seek help, not even from us, the parents. So what are the welfare check triggers in place? I think, Paul, that's for you.
Yeah, I mean, again, as parents, I think many of us recognise
Yes.
that. And we do really recognise that this is a difficult transition. We monitor attendance, so that would be one of the things that if a student's attendance was dropping, we would be in touch with them to ask about that. And we very much encourage students to attend. All of our data shows that those who attend have better academic outcomes as well as welfare outcomes, but we will be in touch with students there. Though, of course, this isn't school. We can't force people to attend, but we can make sure that they know how to access support and that we will follow up with them and check in with them at that point. As I said earlier, if you had a concern about a young person, you can contact our wellbeing team. So whilst we might not be able to tell you what we're doing, I can assure you that we do follow up on concerns. And again, where we can, we would encourage young people to make contact with parents. But obviously, again, that will be their choice as to whether they want to do that or not.
Yeah. Thank you. There's a question about, is it possible to wait for discussion with academic advisors before choosing modules, or do they need to do this prior to the review?
Students should choose their modules as part of the registration process, so before meeting their academic advisor. But if they want to change within the first couple of weeks, they can discuss that with their academic advisor, get a bit of input there, and then they can change in those first couple of weeks.
Yeah. Question from Karen. The module section on the checklist on Liverpool Life is coming up with a strange unread message and can't be completed. What do we need to do?
I think you'll need to contact one of our student administration colleagues without knowing the detail, and I'm not close enough to the detail to be able to answer that. But if you contact our student administration help desk, they should be able to help. We will have people around all throughout Welcome Week to assist with registration. So if they haven't managed to complete registration before they get to campus, that's not a problem. We'll have plenty of people around who can assist and make sure that we get that sorted.
Paul, if I add to that, Tim, we're having a Here to Help hub. I always find it difficult to say. Here to Help hub on campus throughout Welcome, which is available for students to go to. It's a very visible building right in the heart of campus, and we advise students if they have any issues about registration or IT or support, anything like that, go to the Here to Help hub, staffed by our Here to Help helpers. And you'll get that support. So it's available, and without an appointment, you can just go in and see people.
And that's just a general comment. Any new students should just go straight for help if they can't find their way around the organisation for anything.
Yeah.
There's a question about visa. In case the visa arrives beyond the 25th, by what date does the university allow the students to join?
We do have a latest arrival date, and international students should have had that information. If you haven't, if you contact your school, they'll be able to confirm that. Apologies, I don't have the date in my head, but your school will know specifically for your programme. And I've seen a couple of questions about whether parents can have access to the app. You don't get access to the app because our relationship is with your student, and this is one of the things that I know is really difficult. I'm currently setting up children at a sixth form college, and absolutely want access to all of those things, but this is one of the changes that happens when you get to university. So you won't have access to their app or to their timetable unless they choose to share that with you.
Yeah.
So they can't share the app, but they could share their timetable or any information, but it's very much between the university and the students.
Thank you. there was a couple of questions about the announcement of strikes, university strikes, the end of September. They were only announced 2 days ago. This is a national action, so we're not, every university is affected. We don't know because it was only just announced, but we will do absolutely everything we can to minimize disruption. And when strikes have happened in the past, actually, a very low number of students have been impacted. The good news this week is that the marking and assessment boycott has been called off, which was a problem for all universities last year. That has now been cancelled, so hopefully that will be very reassuring to parents. And obviously we will do everything we can to resolve the current dispute, but our first and foremost priority is to look after our students. I can reassure you on that.
I've seen a couple of questions around lectures back to back. So a lecture will be scheduled in on the hour, but our lectures are 50 minutes. So there is 10 minutes between sessions for students to move between buildings. And we do take into account as far as possible the location of the buildings, how close they are to each other. We do a number of checks on that. But if students arrive late, please, they shouldn't worry, particularly in those first couple of weeks. We know it takes people a little while to find their way around. So everybody will understand that.
Yeah. I can't see any new, I think there are new questions, but basically the same questions of things that we've addressed.
Tim, there's a question about part-time jobs.
Oh, right, sorry, I missed that. Thank you, Paul.
And it says, are we linked to Unitemps? We're not. We have a different platform called Handshake, but we put a lot of effort into helping students develop their employability, and we have part-time jobs fairs, we have work experience opportunities, internship opportunities, study abroad opportunities. So that the opportunities to engage in these is fantastic and extensive. And what we do encourage is for students to come and meet with our career coaches like Alice as early as possible when they come to university. We're opening a new career studio in the ground floor of the foundation building for the start of term. So come and speak to our career coaches, and not just if you know what you want to do, but if you don't know what you want to do. And I think Alice, that would be the advice, wouldn't it, to come and speak to the coaches as quickly as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. We're open from welcome week, the 18th. So definitely encourage your young person, your students to come, even if they just want to kind of a co-exploration. That's what we kind of go by. So student comes in, discusses what their thoughts and feelings are, and we kind of support them on their career journey. But I know some modules have careers and employability embedded into their curriculum. So they might have an assignment to create a mock CV or to do a mock interview. So that kind of careers and support is there right from the start. So definitely encourage your young person, no matter whether they know exactly what they want to do or they have absolutely no idea. Definitely start soon.
Thanks.
There's a question about the assessment exam timetable for the new year in terms of booking flights, and we understand that you need to plan ahead. We publish the exam period dates on our website, and we would encourage all students to be available for the whole of that exam period. We will be scheduling the exams during semester one, because again, our scheduling depends on knowing what options various students have taken. And as you can imagine, with nearly 30,000 students, it's not a small task. So we do ask that students are here for the whole of that assessment period, and also for themselves. Really, it's important because then they've got time to actually make sure that they've got over any travel, jet lag, etc. So I would suggest that you look at those overall dates and book flights around that. And in terms of arriving in Liverpool, Liverpool has a huge array of supermarkets, late night eateries. So there are plenty of things close to campus where if somebody's arriving late, there will be somewhere that they will be able to get food or over the weekends.
Right, thank you. There's a question around reading weeks. Do we have them, and when are they?
Different schools within the university will organise their sessions slightly differently. So some may have weeks with no teaching, some may have weeks with lighter teaching. So it depends very much on the structure of the programme. So you will need to look at the specific information for your programme to find out about that.
Yeah.
There's a question around BRPs and registering for, for a GP. So all of that information has been sent out to students. Obviously, when you get your BRP will depend on your. We do that by students can book in. So we've got there is a session for that. So that information should be available in the various emails that have been sent out. I do know it's a lot of information. But if you can work through each of those emails, you will find all of the information about registration within there and BRP. A GP will be available on campus during Welcome Week to register, or you can register with Brownlow Health online before arriving in Liverpool.
Yeah. There's a question about students with neurodiversity. And
yes, I think Lynn's putting some of it out in there, but we have a range of support for students who are neurodiverse. We run some group sessions. We have students can access support workers where that's appropriate. But we've had some really positive outcomes from the group sessions. So if your child is neurodiverse or has a disability, if they haven't been in contact with disability advice and guidance yet, then please do encourage them to do so. We do work with students throughout the admissions process. Again, it may take a little while for us to get back to you at the moment. As you can imagine, it's a busy time of year, but we will see everybody and we will make sure that that support gets put in place. So specifically around particular types of support, that would need to be discussed with a needs assessor. So I think it's really important that you have that specific conversation with a needs assessor about the particular support needs of an individual student. It's difficult to answer that without having more detail.
There's a couple of questions around the sort of maps of the campus and the halls and what students get. Paul, is that for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Tim. They'll be available online. And so you can check out the maps that we have online, the detailed maps. There's also questions about buses, and we've been in contact with the local bus companies to make sure that the timing of the buses are as convenient as possible for students. So they'll have more information, particularly when they arrive. When you arrive at Greenbank, there'll be more information. But certainly, maps should be online. Again, if you're unable to access them, if you let us know, and we'll send them out. But maps are important. One thing I would say is we are very keen in Welcome Week to give students actually a chance to physically experience the campus, so they get a sense of where things are in their own head. So our the Sport Liverpool are doing cycling tours of the campus, but we'll also be doing analog walking tours. So encourage them to come along, and we'll give them a sense to get their bearings on campus, so they know where they are, particularly when lectures start. I think that's what worries people.
Yeah. Question from Justine: when does registration happen?
Paula, in terms of registration,
sorry, I was answering another question in the chat. Registration is an online process. So you will have seen, or your child would have been sent a number of emails about the registration process, and it has a number of steps. The last one of which can only be completed when the student is on campus and they need to connect to the university network. To do that, they have to confirm that they've actually arrived on campus, and there are a number of regulatory requirements that mean we have to do that as the final step of registration. So it's important that they follow those steps, but they'll be able to do that when they arrive. So registration has started, and it will finish when the students arrive on campus. Oh. I can see a couple of questions around will we contact you if your child's struggling with workload? No, we won't contact you around workload issues. Again, this is part of the transition, and as parents, I think we all recognise how difficult that can be, but this is the point where the workload is for your child to manage, but we will offer your child as much support as they need to manage that workload. And similarly, parents won't get access to the app for the same reason, in that this is now an adult to adult relationship, and it's hard for all of us to see our children as adults, but your students are adults, and we will talk to them directly.
Question from Nikki. Best time for students to start thinking about second year private accommodation. That's just a very good question. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Go on, Paul.
So we would encourage people not to rent too early. As Paul said earlier, not everybody makes their best friends in their first week at university. I think, yeah, that's the TV image, isn't it? Or people make really good friends in the first week and then spend about 6 weeks trying really hard to lose them because they weren't quite the friends that they wanted. Not that there's anything wrong with them, but people sometimes realise that they're not quite as compatible as they thought. So Liverpool does have plenty of accommodation. You'll have seen scare stories in the media, but Liverpool is not a city that has a problem with accommodation. We fund Liverpool student homes to ensure that there's good accredited private accommodation. We absolutely recommend that students